Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we plunge into a stack of intel to extract those essential nuggets of knowledge. Today, we're tackling a culinary quest that's incredibly relatable for many home cooks, finding that elusive, deeply savory, hearty tomato sauce. Our listener, like so many of us, is starting with beautiful, fresh, homegrown tomatoes. You know, everything from sweet cherry and grape varieties to Romas and big, juicy big boys. But despite all that incredible fresh produce, their homemade sauce just keeps leaning sweet. They've experimented with, well, pretty much every method imaginable, straining through a KitchenAid attachment, roasting and pureeing, even boiling, skinning and mashing. And their ingredient list is already quite robust. We're talking shredded carrot, garlic, onion, salt, red pepper, olive oil, sometimes red wine, basil, oregano, parsley, zucchini, squash, mushrooms, lots of good stuff. They've even resorted to adding a bit of brown sugar, which kind of ironically they use to compensate for what they perceive as maybe too much acidity or just a lack of flavor in the finished sauce. Their ultimate goal. It's to pinpoint that perfect, beloved recipe they can process and can for future enjoyment.
That's a fantastic mission. And yeah, it's definitely a common challenge in the kitchen, a really common one. So for this deep dive, we've sifted through, a really rich stack of sources, pulling insights from professional chefs to incredibly experienced home cooks. Our mission here is to uncover the true secrets to transforming a sauce that leans sweet into something deeply savory, complex, and hearty. A real masterpiece. And it's not just about what you put in, but crucially how you prepare it and really understanding how to build those intricate layers of flavor.
Okay, let's unpack this then and dive right into the heart of savory tomato sauce. It sounds like the journey to a less sweet sauce might begin right at the source, the tomato itself. What did our intel reveal about initial tomato preparation that could steer us away from that sweetness?
That's exactly right. How you handle the tomato from the very beginning can significantly impact that final flavor profile. There's a professional chef, VBM 923, who, for a lighter fresh sauce, advises skinning, de-seeding, and medium dicing your fresh tomatoes, then just tossing them simply with extra virgin olive oil, salt, and fresh basil, nice and clean. And for preserving them to really concentrate their essence, that same chef recommends oven drying. So peeled, halved, or quartered, de-seeded tomatoes, dry it at 200 Fahrenheit all day before jarring them with oil. This slow drying just intensifies their flavor dramatically. It draws out water but keeps all the good stuff.
Right, so it's all about maximizing that inherent tomato flavor by getting rid of excess water.
Makes sense.
And another tip, this one from Tall Wookie, takes that even further. They suggest scooping out the entire goopy part of the tomato, the seedy, watery core, and only using the fleshy part near the skin, patting it dry. The idea is to minimize water content right from the start, which naturally leads to a more concentrated flavor as it cooks down, right? Preventing that watery or overly sweet result.
Exactly. And that concentration theme carries over really well into the power of roasting. An executive chef, Waiting on Dota, takes this even further. They suggest roasting all your ingredients.
All of them. Wow.
Yeah, not just the tomatoes, but also caramelizing your onions. It's about building a truly deep, rich flavor base right from the start. And Amuse, who works in food service, echoes this. They suggest that if you're using fully ripe tomatoes, a light oven roasting or even broiling can caramelize their natural sugars. Now, that might sound counterintuitive, like it would make it sweeter.
Yeah, exactly.
But this caramelization actually transforms those sugars. Think Maillard reaction and stuff like that. It creates hundreds of new, complex, savory notes and deepens the sauce's character.
That's fascinating. The idea that caramelizing sugars can actually boost the savory side. It's like kitchen magic. And then we have this tip. Here's where it gets really interesting for that earthy depth. That same executive chef, Waiting on Dota, offers a truly unique suggestion, adding roasted beets.
Roasted beets.
Yeah. That would definitely bring a surprising and potentially really earthy dimension to the sauce. I mean, I wouldn't have thought of that.
Neither. It's definitely out there.
So all these meticulous steps like stripping out the goopy part, roasting the ingredients, they aren't just about concentrating flavor. They're actively building those initial savory layers, moving our listener's sauce further away from that sweet, fresh taste they're trying to escape.
Right. And that leads us perfectly into the big guns, umami.
Ah, yes. The fifth taste. That deep, savory richness you get from things like mushrooms, aged cheeses, roasted meats. It's the savory secret weapon, isn't it? The thing that can truly transform a sauce from simply sweet to deeply complex. So what did our sources reveal about harnessing umami for a less sweet sauce? What does this all mean?
Well, it means we basically need to introduce more glutamates. These are specific amino acids found naturally in lots of savory foods. They're what trigger our umami taste receptors, making a dish taste richer, more satisfying, full. And our sources offered a whole bunch of direct umami boosters. We saw suggestions like fish sauce, Marmite, soy sauce, or even anchovy. Those came from HOWTO, The Curious Cook, and Aussie Bob. Shaddy's even recommends combining sea salt with soy sauce for a really powerful umami punch.
Okay.
And for something truly unexpected, Speedfritter suggests smoked oysters can work wonders.
Smoked oysters. Wow. Okay, that's certainly not your typical pasta sauce ingredient. I mean, I'm picturing it, and it sounds, well, intriguing. Definitely intriguing.
It's one of those don't knock it till you try its things, maybe.
Maybe. But speaking of surprising flavor enhancers, the Fine Skit suggests a simple splash of orange juice for added depth, which also sounds a bit out there, but hey, who knows? And instead of brown sugar, Cowzorts recommends using a dry steak seasoning, specifically the Montreal brand, for a savory kick. That's clever.
Yeah, those unexpected additions are part of the beauty of digging through all this stuff, aren't they? And if we connect this back to the broader picture of flavor chemistry, The Curious Cook highlights how alcohol, whether it's vodka or wine or even MSG, they can actively work to release additional flavor compounds that are already present in your ingredients.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, it's all about unlocking those hidden depths by basically making those glutamate compounds more available to your taste buds.
You know, it's not just about what you put in, is it? But how much time you allow for those flavors to really develop and deepen. What's fascinating here is how much time seems to play a role in developing those rich, deep flavors that push the sauce towards savory and away from just simple sweetness.
Absolutely. This is where the long cook, slow simmer really comes into its own. It's crucial. Someone named Bag suggests a light boil for about 8 hours. 8 hours.
20 hours. Wow.
Yeah, to truly concentrate those flavors, letting them meld and deepen through slow evaporation and all those complex chemical reactions happening over time. And a deleted user whose advice really resonated recommends pureeing tomatoes with onion and red pepper, then simmering it on the absolute lowest heat all day long, stirring hourly. This patient, slow cooking, is just fundamental for developing layers of flavor that you simply can't achieve quickly. It makes it taste far less bright or sweet.
And if you're looking for an even more robust savory base, another deleted user suggested browning beef bones in olive oil.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, then simmering them with a tomato puree, spices, and tomato paste. You take the bones out before serving, obviously.
Of course.
But that flavor infusion would be incredible, adding this profound, meaty savoriness.
Indeed. And to build that foundational richness, a really common theme was the sofrito. Another deleted user detailed cooking a base of fennel, carrot, onion, and celery very slowly, like 45 to 60 minutes before adding tomatoes and red wine.
Okay, building the base first.
Exactly. This slow-cooked aromatic foundation, the sofrito, it's a cornerstone of so many cuisines for a reason. It builds immense flavor, a deeply savory base before anything else even hits the pot. They also really emphasize that long cooking of onions until they're truly caramelized and sweet in their own right. That's key to balancing acidity and genuinely avoiding the need for any added sugar at all, because those natural sugars have completely transformed into savory compounds by then.
Okay, so beyond just the flavor, the feel of a sauce, its richness, its body, that also plays a huge role in how hearty we perceive it to be, right?
Yeah.
What did our sources reveal about thickening the sauce without just, cooking it down for another 8 hours?
That's a great question. Texture contributes so much to that perception of richness. Professional chef VBM923 suggests using starchy pasta water, the water you cook the pasta in.
Right.
Use that to thicken the sauce right when you're tossing it with the pasta. The starches released from the pasta create this beautiful emulsified texture that really clings to the noodles.
Wow, that's a classic technique. And Rule of Thumb offers the pretty clever method too. Processing onion, celery, and carrot into a paste, then reducing that paste in olive oil until it's deeply caramelized. This concentrated savory paste is then combined with the tomato base. They also recommend adding fresh herbs and garlic right at the very end, then simmering just until the sauce reaches that ideal thickness.
That sounds fantastic.
Yeah, it sounds like a great way to build that savory depth right into the actual body of the sauce.
It absolutely is. And other great thickening agents came up too. Trefant BOA suggests potato starch, which is great because it can thicken really effectively without messing with the flavor profile of the sauce much. And Regina Christina pointed out that, grated Parmesan or even milk can add thickness. Flour, too. That's a very straightforward option.
Sure.
The Parmesan and milk also add their own notes of richness and umami, which is a bonus. And Haywood J. Bloom also suggested kind of circling back, chopping, mashing, and then draining the tomato flesh to manage that water content and get a better, less watery texture from the start.
Okay, we've covered so many foundational techniques and boosters, but what about those truly unexpected, maybe even slightly weird ingredients that could provide that profound savory depth? Anything else jump out?
Well, let's circle back quickly to the advice from executive chef waiting on Doda about cooking tomato paste until it's a rusty color.
Right, the tomato paste itself.
Yeah, for a truly concentrated flavor. This isn't just about reducing liquid, it's about actively developing new, deeper flavors by browning the sugars and proteins in the paste itself. They also stress using high-quality canned whole Roma tomatoes for that stewy consistency, which brings its own layer of slow-cooked richness, even if you're starting from canned.
That raises an important question then. What other pantry staples, maybe things we already have, can elevate a simple tomato sauce from sweet to profoundly savory? Chef Cool Hand Luke had some fantastic suggestions here. Things like sherry vinegar.
Nice tang.
Yeah, has a bright, tangy depth. Red miso for that fermented, salty umami hit.
Definitely umami there.
Worcestershire sauce, a classic for its savory, complex profile. And smoked paprika, which brings that lovely, smoky, earthy warmth. Each of those adds a really distinct, complex savory note.
And we found other intriguing additions too, like Fish Disc's idea of adding eggplant to a crockpot sauce to make it, quote, meatier.
Eggplant, okay.
Yeah, the eggplant apparently really absorbs the flavors and breaks down to give a substantial mouthfeel without actual meat. Or Astronaut's suggestion of adding red capsicums, that's bell peppers, onion, garlic, and optional chili peppers, for just a richer taste, building on those allium and sweet pepper bases.
And for anyone who wants a specific recipe to maybe springboard from, Feast on Carolina provided a link to Scott Conant's tomato basil spaghetti recipe. That could be a great starting point for further exploration, maybe integrating some of these concepts we've talked about.
Yeah.
What a journey. We've covered, well, pretty much everything from meticulous tomato prep and the transformative magic of roasting to the power of umami boosters, the absolute patience required for long, slow simmering, and some really innovative thickening agents. The goal, remember, was to help transform that sweet homemade sauce into a truly savory, hearty masterpiece.
And if we connect all this back for you, the listener, it's pretty clear that achieving that deep, savory flavor often involves layering. Layering techniques and ingredients. It's about drawing from a really wide range of culinary wisdom. As probably no single magic bullet, but rather a collection of thoughtful approaches that when you combine them and, importantly, experiment with them, can really elevate your sauce to new heights, moving it definitively away from that sweet profile. We genuinely encourage you to experiment with these insights. Play around.
So as you plan your next batch of homemade tomato sauce, maybe using those gorgeous homegrown tomatoes, what hidden savory potential might be waiting right there in your pantry, just waiting to be unleashed?